AITA for returning the ring after discovering my girlfriend planned to humiliate me? I was 34, and I had been with Lauren long enough that my family had stopped asking if I was going to marry her and started asking when. I'm Max, and at the time, I was living a life that felt more settled than exciting, in the best way. Lauren and I shared an apartment, shared bills, shared routines, and shared enough little habits that I honestly thought we were already practicing for marriage. Her iced coffee was always in the fridge because I made it while mine brewed in the morning. My old gray hoodie had basically become hers, hanging on her side of the closet like it had moved out on me. Every Friday, if neither of us wanted to cook, I knew exactly what she wanted without asking. 2 entrees, extra sauce, no mushrooms on hers, and the same mismatched mugs on the coffee table while we watched whatever show she had decided we were both into. I loved her. I really did. That was the part that made what happened hurt so much. I wasn't planning some huge public proposal because I wanted people clapping for me. I wasn't trying to trap her or pressure her or make a spectacle. I was planning it because I thought I knew the woman sitting across from me. I thought I knew what would make her feel loved. Lauren wasn't always cruel. I need to say that, because if I describe only the end, it makes me look stupid for staying almost 5 years. When we first got together, she was funny in a way that made every room feel less stiff. She could rescue a dead conversation with one sentence. She could tease me about how carefully I loaded the dishwasher, and somehow it felt affectionate instead of mean. Back then, when she made fun of me, it felt like she was pulling me closer, not pushing me down. She was quick, confident, social in a way I admired because I had always been quieter. She could walk into a dinner where she knew 2 people and leave with 3 invitations. Her friends loved her. My family loved her. Even my older brother Evan, who didn't warm up to people easily, once told me, "She keeps you from taking yourself too seriously. That's good for you." For a while, I agreed with him. Then, slowly, the jokes changed. It wasn't one big moment. It was 100 small ones that were easy to explain away individually. At dinner with friends, she started calling me too safe, like it was a personality defect. If I ordered the same thing at a restaurant twice, she'd say, "See? This is why Max would survive an apocalypse." He'd bore the zombies into leaving. People laughed, so I laughed too. Then it became, Max would apologize to a stop sign if he walked into it. Or, "Don't worry, he'll pay." That's what boyfriends are for. If I picked up a group check because it was easier than watching 8 people argue over Venmo, she'd smile and say, "Look at him, trained so well." The first few times, I told myself it was harmless. Couples tease. Friends exaggerate. Lauren was sarcastic with everybody. But she wasn't sarcastic with everybody the same way. When Brianna, her closest friend, forgot her wallet 3 times in a row, Lauren covered for her and said, "It's fine, babe." When I left my phone in the car once, Lauren told the whole table, "This is why I can't trust him with anything important." I remember one night after a birthday dinner, when we were walking back to the car, I said, "Can you not make me the punchline every time we're with your friends?" She looked at me like I had asked her to stop breathing. "I'm not making you the punchline," she said. "I'm joking." "I know you're joking. I'm saying some of it feels disrespectful." She laughed under her breath and unlocked the passenger door. "Can you not make everything so heavy?" I stood there with my keys in my hand, feeling stupid. "I'm not asking you to stop being funny. I'm asking you to stop making me the joke." She rolled her eyes. "Look at you, finally trying to act tough." That one stayed with me. Not because it was the worst thing she ever said, but because it told me something I didn't want to hear. She didn't see my patience as patience. She saw it as weakness. Still, I stayed. That part is on me. I stayed because I loved the good version of us and kept waiting for it to come back. I stayed because every time I tried to talk about it, she made me feel like I was too sensitive, too insecure, too dramatic. And honestly, I hated the idea of being that guy. The controlling boyfriend. The fragile boyfriend. The one who couldn't take a joke. So I swallowed more than I should have. Around our 4th year together, Lauren started talking about marriage more openly. At first, it was casual. She'd send me pictures of rings with captions like, "For future reference, I don't hate this." She'd point out proposal videos online and say, "See, simple but thoughtful. That's all women want." If one of her friends got engaged, she'd watch the video 3 or 4 times, then glance at me and say, "Some men know how to plan." By year 5, the hints were not hints anymore. One night, While we were folding laundry, she said, "You know, it gets embarrassing after a while." "What does?" I asked. "Being the girlfriend of almost 5 years. People start wondering what's wrong." I put down a towel. "Nothing's wrong. I just want to do it right." She softened then, or at least I thought she did. She came over, wrapped her arms around my waist, and rested her cheek against my chest. "Then do it right," she said. That was one of the moments I held on to later, when I was trying not to doubt myself. She had wanted this. She had pushed for it. She had made it clear that waiting too long would hurt her. So I started planning. I bought the ring from a jeweler that let me return it within a short window, because Evan had drilled that kind of practical thinking into me. It wasn't huge, but it was real, and it was her style. Oval stone, thin band, simple enough that she could wear it every day. I booked a dinner reservation at a place she loved, paid a small fee for a private room upgrade, ordered flowers to be waiting at the table, and hired a photographer for a few quiet photos afterward. Not a flash mob, not a crowd, just a few pictures in case she wanted to tell the story later. I also booked a short anniversary trip for the following weekend. Nothing wild. A nice room, a place with a view, 2 days where we could breathe and be happy before calling our families. I had asked for her parents' blessing in a quiet way, not because I believed Lauren was property to be handed over, but because I knew it mattered to her family. Her mother, Diane, had cried on the phone. Her father, Grant, had told me, "You two have been moving in this direction for a long time. I think she'll be happy." That stuck with me too. The day of the dinner, I left work early, picked up the ring, confirmed the flowers, confirmed the photographer, confirmed the private room, and came home feeling nervous in the way I thought I was supposed to feel. Lauren was already getting ready in the bathroom, music playing through her phone speaker. The apartment smelled like her vanilla lotion and the coffee creamer she always forgot to put back. On the kitchen island, our shared tablet kept buzzing. We used it mostly for recipes, streaming, and grocery lists. It was logged into both of our accounts in different apps, and neither of us treated it like some private vault. I ignored the first few notifications because I was trying to decide whether to put the ring box in my jacket pocket or keep it in the car until we got to dinner. Then the screen lit up again. The group chat name was The Jury. I had seen that name before. It was Lauren's chat with Brianna, Tessa, and 2 other friends. Usually it was brunch plans, memes, screenshots of bad dating profiles, things like that. This time, the preview had my name in it. "Brianna, if he proposes tonight, don't say yes right away." I stared at the screen. My first thought was not that I had caught her doing something terrible. My first thought was that maybe they had guessed. Maybe Lauren had told them she suspected it was happening, and they were being silly. Then another message dropped. "Brianna, make him sweat first. Men need a little humility." My hand felt cold when I picked up the tablet. I know people will have opinions about that. I know the word privacy gets thrown around fast. But the message was sitting on a shared screen, in our kitchen, with my name and my proposal dinner in it. I didn't dig through months of her life looking for ammunition. I opened the conversation because my future was apparently being discussed like a group project. The first messages were bad enough. Lauren had written, "He's been way too sure lately. Like he thinks I'll just melt because he picked a restaurant." Brianna replied, "Good. Make him work for it." Another friend wrote, "Ask him why you should say yes. Like actually make him answer." Lauren sent a laughing emoji. "He'd panic." Brianna, "If he folds, that tells you everything." Then came the line that made my stomach turn. "Friend, he'll still pay though." Lauren, "He always does." Brianna, "Max doesn't know how to leave." Lauren reacted with laughing emojis. I stood there, in the kitchen I had cleaned that morning, next to a grocery list that still said coffee, paper towels, dog treats for her parents' dog, and I felt like something inside me had gone very still. Then a voice note appeared. I shouldn't have played it. Part of me knew it would be worse to hear her voice. But I tapped it anyway. Lauren's voice came through the tablet, casual and bright, like she was talking about outfit choices. "If he does it tonight, I'm going to ask if he's sure. Like, really sure. He gets too comfortable. I want him to work for it." Brianna sent one back almost immediately, laughing so hard she could barely get the words out. "I'll record from the bar. If he starts looking like a sad golden retriever, I'm never letting you delete it." My chest actually hurt. Not in a poetic way. In a real, tight, physical way that made me put one hand on the counter. From the bathroom, Lauren called, "Babe, did you see my gold earrings anywhere?" I closed the chat for half a second, then opened it again because I had seen something higher up that my mind hadn't processed yet. There were older messages from the week before. Lauren, my mom thinks I'm nervous because Max is pushing. Brianna, good. Let her think that. Back up if he gets weird. Lauren, I mean he is intense sometimes. Tessa, but you've been telling him you want it soon, right? There was a pause in the chat after that. Then Lauren wrote, that's different. I can want effort and still not want pressure. Brianna, exactly. If the ring is not real proposal energy, say try again when you actually mean it. Lauren, honestly, yeah. If it's not a real ring, he's not getting a real answer. I read that message 3 times. Not because I didn't understand it. Because I did. She had built a trap with exits only for herself. If I proposed, I was pressuring her. If I didn't propose, I wasn't serious. If I looked hurt when she embarrassed me, I was insecure. If I stayed calm, I had no spine. If the ring wasn't impressive enough, she could reject me and make me try again. If it was good enough, she still got to make me perform for her friends while Brianna recorded it. I took pictures of the screen with my phone. Not hundreds. Just enough to show the messages, the timestamps, the voice notes, and the context. My hands were shaking, but I was quiet. Lauren called again. Max? Earrings. Check the tray by the bed, I said. My voice sounded normal. That almost scared me. I walked out of the apartment and sat in my car. For a few minutes, I did nothing. I didn't text Evan. I didn't call Lauren. I didn't write a paragraph that started with how could you and ended with please explain. I just sat there with the ring box in my jacket pocket, looking at the steering wheel. My first instinct was to confront her immediately, walk back inside, put the tablet in front of her, and ask her to say the words to my face. But I knew how that would go. She would cry. She would tell me I invaded her privacy. She would say it was a joke, and I would get dragged into arguing about the chat instead of the fact that she had planned to humiliate me. For once, I didn't try to talk someone into respecting me. I called the jeweler. The woman who answered was polite and cheerful until she heard my voice. I asked if the ring could still be returned that day. She checked the receipt number and said yes, as long as I came in before closing. Then I called the restaurant. I canceled the private room upgrade and the flowers. The reservation itself had a cancellation fee if I canceled completely, so I kept the table. I don't know why exactly. Maybe because I wanted to look Lauren in the eye. Maybe because part of me still needed to see whether she would actually go through with it. I emailed the photographer and apologized. He was kind about it and refunded part of the fee because we were just inside the cancellation window. I canceled the anniversary trip and got a partial credit. I canceled the car service I had booked for after dinner. Then I went to the jeweler and returned the ring. Handing it back was one of the worst parts. The same woman who had helped me choose it 2 weeks earlier recognized me. She didn't pry. She just processed the return, slid the receipt across the counter, and said quietly, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I almost lost it right there. Instead, I nodded and said, me too. I stopped by a print shop and printed the screenshots, cancellation confirmations, and receipts. Then I bought a plain white envelope. In my car, I wrote one note by hand. You were right about one thing. I was going to propose tonight. But I finally learned the difference between being patient and having no spine. I put the note on top of the papers and sealed the envelope. When I got back to the apartment, Lauren was finishing her makeup. She looked beautiful. That made it worse. She turned from the mirror and smiled at me like nothing in the world had shifted. There you are, she said. I thought you disappeared. Had to handle something. She looked me up and down. You seem weird. Nervous, I said. Her smile sharpened just a little. About dinner? Yeah, I said. About dinner. In the car, she was playful in that polished way she got when she was performing a version of herself. She asked if she looked nice. I said she did. She asked if tonight was special. I said it mattered to me. She looked out the window, smiling. That's cryptic. I didn't answer. At the restaurant, the hostess led us to a nice table. Not the private room. Lauren noticed immediately. Oh, she said, glancing around. I thought you said you made arrangements. I did. This is just a table. It is. She gave a tiny laugh, like she was giving me a chance to fix my line. Wow. No flowers. You're really keeping me guessing tonight. Across the room, near the bar, Brianna was sitting with another one of Lauren's friends. They were not hiding well. Brianna had her phone angled toward our table, pretending to scroll. When her eyes met mine, she looked away too fast. That was when the last piece of denial in me died. It wasn't just talk. They had really shown up for it. Lauren followed my gaze, then gave a little fake gasp. Oh my God, is that Bree? That's so funny. Funny, I said. I swear I didn't know she'd be here. Okay. She studied me for a second. You're being very quiet. I'm listening. That annoyed her. I could see it in the way her mouth tightened. We ordered drinks. She made small comments, tossing them out like hooks. I just hope tonight isn't one of those nights where you think showing up counts as effort. I took a sip of water. She leaned back. What? No comeback. Not really. Max, come on. Don't be boring tonight. The waiter came, and we ordered. She barely looked at the menu. She kept watching me, waiting for the nervous version of me she had promised her friends. When the appetizers arrived, she sighed and said, I guess I thought tonight would feel more intentional. That was the moment I knew I was done waiting. I took the envelope from inside my jacket and placed it on the table between us. I think you should read this before dessert. Her eyes dropped to the envelope. For 1 second, I saw excitement flicker across her face. She thought it was a card, maybe a speech, maybe a clue. Then she opened it. I watched her expression change as she saw the return receipt from the jeweler, then the canceled flowers, the photographer email, the trip credit, the private room cancellation, the screenshots. All the color drained from her face. Max, she whispered. I said nothing. She flipped another page. Her hands started shaking, but not from nerves or romance. You went through my messages? There it was. Exactly where I knew she'd go. You left a plan to humiliate me on a shared screen, I said. Her eyes flashed toward Brianna, then back to me. It was a group chat. People exaggerate. You sent voice notes. You weren't supposed to hear that. I know. That was the point. Her lips parted, and for once, no clever line came out. I took out my card, placed it beside my plate, and flagged the waiter quietly. I paid for what I had ordered and left cash for the tip. Lauren sat frozen, the envelope open in front of her. As I stood, she hissed, You're really going to embarrass me like this? I looked at Brianna, who had stopped pretending not to watch. Then I looked back at Lauren. No, I said. I'm leaving before you get the video you came for. I walked out without raising my voice. By the time I got to the parking lot, my phone was buzzing. Lauren called 6 times. Then came the texts. Lauren, you humiliated me. Lauren, I can't believe you planned all that just to punish me. Lauren, you made me look crazy in public. Brianna texted too, which was bold. Brianna, okay, but don't drag me into your relationship mess. I almost laughed when I saw that. Almost. Then Lauren posted a story. Black background. White text. Learning that standards scare the wrong people. Another one came 10 minutes later. Some men only want marriage when they can control the answer. I didn't respond. I didn't post screenshots. I didn't call her names. I drove to Evan's place and sat on his couch while he made coffee even though it was almost midnight. He listened without interrupting. That was Evan's thing. He could go quiet in a way that made you feel like the whole room was holding space for your anger. When I finished, he said, Do you want me to tell you what you did wrong? Or do you want me to tell you what to do next? Both. You waited too long to admit she didn't respect you, he said. But tonight, you didn't make a scene. You stopped funding one. That's not the same thing. I leaned back and covered my face with both hands. He added, Don't punish her. Just stop protecting her from the truth she created. The next morning, I had 12 missed calls from Lauren, 3 from Diane, 1 from Grant, and a group text from Lauren's family that I had not been a part of until that day. Diane wrote first. Diane, Lauren is devastated. I hope you understand what you did last night. I stared at the text for a while before answering. Me? I understand more than you think. Diane, then come tomorrow and explain it to her family. She deserves a conversation. Me? I'll come. But I'm not apologizing for a story that leaves out the truth. She didn't answer for almost an hour. Then Grant called. His voice was calmer than Diane's, but it carried the kind of disappointment that people use when they think they already know the facts. Max, he said, this got out of hand. I don't know everything, but I know walking out on her at dinner was not the mature choice. Did Lauren tell you what was in the envelope? I asked. A pause. She said you canceled plans and threw them in her face because she had doubts. There it was. I will come to dinner, I said. But if she tells that version in front of me, I'm going to correct it. Grant sighed. We just want to talk like adults. So do I. After the call, I sat with Evan at his kitchen table and organized everything in one folder on my phone. I didn't want to use it. That sounds strange, but it's true. Part of me still wanted Lauren to tell the truth first. I wanted her to say, I lied because I panicked. I mocked you because I was insecure. I let my friends turn us into entertainment. I wanted her to make the evidence unnecessary. Evan watched me save the voice notes and screenshots. Use them only if you need to, he said. Don't walk in swinging. I'm not trying to destroy her. I know, he said. That's why I'm saying it. People who know they're wrong will still call your boundary cruelty if it makes them uncomfortable. That afternoon, Tessa texted me. Tessa, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. That chat got out of hand, and I should have said something. I read it twice. Me. Did you know Brianna was going to record me? Tessa took several minutes to answer. Tessa, yes. I didn't think she'd really do it, but yes. I'm sorry. It didn't make me feel better. It made me feel less crazy. The family dinner was the next evening at Lauren's parents' house. I almost didn't go. Not because I was scared, but because I knew walking into a room where everyone thought I was the villain would take everything I had. Evan offered to come with me. I told him no. This was not a fight I wanted to expand. When I arrived, Diane opened the door with red eyes and a tight mouth. She didn't hug me. She always hugged me. Grant was in the dining room setting water glasses, moving carefully like he was trying to keep the house calm by force. Lauren sat at the table in a cream sweater, no makeup, looking like she had been crying for 2 days. Maybe she had. I didn't doubt that she was hurt. I just no longer believed her hurt erased what she had done. Dinner was barely dinner. There was chicken on the table, a salad nobody touched, rolls in a basket, and a silence so thick that every fork scrape sounded aggressive. Diane started before I even finished my first glass of water. She had doubts, Max. That does not give you the right to punish her. I looked at Lauren. She looked down. Grant said, your decision to walk out embarrassed her. You two needed to handle this privately. I nodded slowly. I agree that private things should have stayed private. Lauren's eyes flicked up, warning me. Diane didn't catch it. Then why didn't you talk to her like an adult? Why cancel everything and shove receipts at her? Because the proposal had already been turned into something else. She was scared, Diane said. Marriage is a big step. Women are allowed to have standards. Lauren sniffed and wiped her cheek. For a second, I saw the old pattern forming right in front of me. Lauren didn't have to say much. Other people would build the defense around her, and she would sit there looking wounded while I fought smoke. Grant leaned forward. Max, be honest. Were you pressuring her? I almost laughed, but there was no humor in it. No. Diane scoffed. She told me you were becoming intense about marriage. I looked at Lauren again. Did you also tell her you sent me ring pictures? That you said being the girlfriend of almost 5 years was embarrassing? That you told me to do it right? Lauren's face tightened. That is not fair. It's true. You're twisting it. Diane put a hand on Lauren's arm. Maybe she joked with her friends because she knew deep down you weren't serious enough. That was the line. Not because it was the cruelest thing said that night, but because it proved the lie had worked. Lauren had managed to turn my canceled proposal into evidence that I had never really meant it. I set my napkin down. If I'm the one who ruined that night, I said, then everyone should hear what was planned before I even walked into the restaurant. Lauren went still. Max, she said quietly. I took out my phone. Diane frowned. What are you doing? Answering your question. I played the first voice note. Lauren's voice filled the dining room. If he does it tonight, I'm going to ask if he's sure. Like, really sure. He gets too comfortable. I want him to work for it. No one moved. Then I played Brianna's. I'll record from the bar. If he starts looking like a sad golden retriever, I'm never letting you delete it. Diane's hand slowly slipped off Lauren's arm. Grant stared at his daughter. Lauren. Lauren whispered. It was a joke. I opened the screenshots and slid the phone across the table to Grant first, because he was the one most likely to actually read them before reacting. He scrolled. His jaw tightened. Diane reached for the phone next. I watched her eyes move over the lines. Make him sweat. He'll still pay though. He always does. Max doesn't know how to leave. My mom thinks I'm nervous because Max is pushing. Good. Back up if he gets weird. If it's not a real ring, he's not getting a real answer. Diane's face changed in stages. Anger first, then confusion, then something close to embarrassment. Grant turned to Lauren. Are these messages real? Lauren started crying harder. They were private. I said, so was my proposal. She looked at me like I had slapped her. My phone started buzzing on the table. Brianna's name flashed across the screen. Then again. Then a text appeared at the top. Brianna, what the hell did you show them? Lauren saw it and covered her face. Diane stood and walked into the kitchen. I heard the faucet turn on, then off. Grant stayed seated, still looking at the phone like he could make the words mean something else if he stared long enough. Lauren finally said, I was scared. I nodded. Maybe you were. Marriage is scary, Max. I know. Then why are you acting like I'm evil because I had doubts? I didn't cancel the proposal because you had doubts, I said. I canceled it because I believed what you said about me when you thought I wasn't listening. She shook her head. People vent. That wasn't venting. That was a plan. It was jokes that went too far. No. A joke is you teasing me about loading the dishwasher like it's a crime scene. A joke is not telling your friends to record me being humiliated. A joke is not telling your mother I'm pressuring you while you push me to propose. Diane came back into the room, quieter now. Lauren, did you tell me Max was pressuring you? Lauren's mouth opened, but nothing came out at first. Grant said, answer your mother. Lauren wiped her face. I said I felt pressure. From me? I asked. She looked at me, angry through the tears. From the situation. From everyone. From being together so long. Then why attach my name to it? She snapped. Because you don't understand what it's like to be the woman waiting. There it was again. The shift. The reframing. Somehow, even with the evidence in front of us, she was reaching for a way to make my reaction the real problem. I leaned back. Lauren, I was not perfect in this relationship. I avoided hard conversations. I let things slide and then got quietly resentful. I can own that. But I am not going to sit here and pretend you didn't set me up to lose no matter what I did. Diane sat down slowly. Grant rubbed his forehead. Lauren whispered, so what? You just want me to beg? No, I want you to be honest. I said I'm sorry. You said the jokes went too far. That's not the same thing. She looked at me with wet, furious eyes. What do you want from me? I had thought about that all day. Not because I expected her to give it, but because I needed to know my own answer. If there is any chance of repairing this, I said, you need to correct the story with your family and your friends. Not vaguely. Not with a post about miscommunication. You need to tell them you lied when you made it sound like I was pressuring you. You need to stop turning private relationship issues into group entertainment. And we would need counseling before we even discuss moving forward. Her face hardened before I finished. I added, and the proposal is off the table. Completely. She gave a broken little laugh. So you are punishing me? No, I'm not proposing to someone I don't trust. You're making me beg for basic forgiveness. I'm asking you to tell the truth. In front of everyone? You already embarrassed me in front of everyone. Diane, for the first time, didn't rush to defend her. She just said, Lauren. Lauren turned on her. What? Now you're on his side. Grant said, this isn't about sides. Of course it is, Lauren said. He came here with evidence like some kind of trial. I stood then. Not dramatically. Just because I knew if I stayed, we would loop the same argument until I was exhausted enough to apologize for having proof. You don't want repair? I said. You want the old deal back, where you cut me and I apologize for bleeding. Lauren stared at me. Diane closed her eyes. Grant didn't say anything. I picked up my phone, put it in my pocket, and looked at Lauren one last time. I didn't come here to destroy you. I came because your family deserved the truth after you pulled them into it. What you do with it is up to you. Then I left. The next week was quiet in the loudest possible way. Lauren texted constantly at first. Some messages were angry. Some were sad. Some were almost apologies until the last sentence ruined them. Lauren, I'm sorry you saw it like that. Lauren, I know I messed up, but you made it so public. Lauren, I never would have actually let Bree record you. Lauren, you know how Bree is. She pushes things. Then, finally, Lauren, I miss you. I hate this. Can we just talk without receipts? I answered one time. Me? I am willing to talk when you're ready to be honest about what happened. Not before. She didn't respond to that for 2 days. In the meantime, I started separating the parts of our life that were easy to separate. I didn't touch anything that wasn't mine. I didn't lock her out of accounts we both used if they were truly shared. I didn't try to punish her through money. But I stopped covering the informal expenses that had quietly become my responsibility because it was easier. The streaming bundle on my card got canceled. The storage unit holding Lauren's extra furniture, which I had been paying for since her lease ended years ago, became her responsibility. I canceled 2 upcoming reservations I had made for us. I moved my clothes, my books, my desk chair, the good skillet I brought into the apartment, and the ugly mug Evan had given me that Lauren hated. I stayed with Evan while figuring out the lease. It wasn't dramatic. No one screamed in the hallway. No one threw boxes onto the lawn. We had grown up, miserable conversations about furniture, deposits, and whose name was on what. At one point, Lauren stood in the kitchen while I packed my coffee grinder and said, "I can't believe you're really doing this." I looked around that kitchen. The same island where the tablet had been. The same fridge where her iced coffee used to sit every morning. The same drawer full of takeout menus we never used because everything was online now. "I can't believe you thought I wouldn't," I said. She flinched. I didn't say it to hurt her. I said it because it was true. Diane called me 3 days after the family dinner. Her voice was stiff, but not cruel. "I owe you an apology," she said. I didn't make it easy on her, but I didn't make it hard either. "Thank you." She sighed. I spoke before I knew everything. I thought I was protecting my daughter. "I understand. I don't understand what she was thinking." I almost said, "She was thinking I'd take it." But I kept that to myself. "I hope you two can talk someday," Diane said. "Maybe," I said. "But it won't be about the proposal. That part is done." Grant texted later. Short and awkward. "Grant, I'm sorry for assuming. You handled yourself better than I did. I appreciated it, even if it didn't fix anything." Tessa sent one more message a week later. "Tessa, I told Lauren I should have spoken up. She isn't happy with me. I don't expect forgiveness from you, but I wanted you to know I won't be part of chats like that again." I didn't turn her into a hero in my head. She had stayed silent when speaking up could have saved me from walking into that restaurant. But I believed she was ashamed, and sometimes that's the first useful feeling people have. Brianna never apologized. She blocked me after sending one last message that said, "Hope it was worth nuking your relationship over a joke." I deleted it. Lauren and I had one final conversation about a month later, after most of the apartment logistics were done. We met in the living room because it was still technically both of ours for another few weeks, though it already felt like a place neither of us lived anymore. She looked tired. I probably did too. For the first time, she didn't start with sarcasm. "I told my parents I lied," she said. I nodded. "I told the girls too." "Okay." Her fingers twisted in her sleeve. "I started looking for a therapist. For myself. Not because you told me to." That was the closest thing to real accountability I had heard from her. "I'm glad," I said. And I meant it. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. But this time, they didn't feel like a tool. They just looked like tears. "Do you hate me?" I shook my head. "No." "Do you still love me?" That one hurt more. "Yes," I said. "But I don't trust you." And love without trust just turns into waiting to be hurt again. She covered her mouth and looked away. I wanted to comfort her. My body actually moved like it was going to, because for years, that had been my role. Lauren cried, and I softened. Lauren panicked, and I steadied. Lauren cut too deep, and I explained why it hurt until somehow I was apologizing for being wounded. This time, I stayed where I was. She whispered, "I thought you'd fight harder for us." "I did," I said. "For years. You just thought fighting for us meant letting you keep doing this." She didn't answer. When I left that day, I took the last box with me. My gray hoodie was folded on top. Lauren had washed it and left it by the door. I don't know if that was an apology or a goodbye. Maybe both. People had opinions afterward, because people always do. Some of Lauren's friends said I should have talked to her privately before canceling everything. Some of my relatives said they would have walked out the second they saw the messages. Evan said I did the important thing. I didn't try to win a public fight. I just stopped participating in my own humiliation. I don't think canceling the proposal made me cruel. I think proposing after reading those messages would have made me dishonest with myself. I didn't take revenge by destroying her life. I didn't post the screenshots online. I didn't try to turn everyone against her. I showed the truth only when she lied about why I walked away, and then I let the truth do what it did. Lauren lost the version of the story where she was simply a scared woman punished by an impatient boyfriend. Brianna lost the safety of pretending cruelty was just entertainment. Diane and Grant lost the comfort of believing they knew their daughter's relationship better than the man sitting across from her. And I lost the fantasy that patience could eventually earn respect from someone who had started mistaking it for permission. What I kept was quieter. My own name on my own accounts. My evenings without checking whether a joke was about to become a wound. My brother's couch for a while, then a small place of my own. Coffee in the morning that I made only for myself. Friday takeout that tasted lonely at first, then peaceful. I didn't stop loving Lauren overnight, but I stopped letting love turn me into someone who accepted humiliation as proof of loyalty. Boundaries didn't feel good at first. They felt like grief, but they were honest. And after everything that happened, honest was the one thing I refused to give up. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.